Indiana, oh, Indiana, Indiana, we're all for you. Colonel, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Tommy. How you doing?
Great. Welcome to the Colonel and Mr. Big podcast, episode number 6. Colonel Mike's in Tomah, Wisconsin, and Mr. Big here's in Cicero, Indiana, and we're coming to you with our 6th episode. It's been a lot of fun, Mike. It's hard to believe it's 6 already, but
and go ahead.
I was listening to Becca earlier, and she said she'd been on for a year. That's kind of hard to believe. I mean, can you imagine us being on for a year here one of these days?
Yeah. And, I'll get to the numbers, but it's okay. I think we're doing just fine. So
yeah, we can talk about that at the end. But
Yep.
I mean, I've got a lot of good comments, and we got a long way to go to get where we want to be. But as far as technology wise, I'm not worried about the numbers really. But as far as being technologically accurate, we got a long way to go. But we'll get there.
Yeah, we were just talking before we hit record. We're gonna do a test this week and see if we can invite someone to call in for our next one. So we'll get that worked out. Yeah.
How was your week?
Not too bad. Jill went in for surgery a couple of days ago and got her knee repaired. The doc, back in February, she jumped off. We were substitute teaching, and she jumped off the stage at Royal, and I think she blew out her meniscus at that time. And then she was subbing for a Phi Ed class and was shuffling back and forth left and right, and I think that probably destroyed it even more. So she finally went in on Friday and had surgery, and the doc spoke with me afterwards, and he said when he went in and touched the meniscus with whatever tool, it just disappeared. It just evaporated. It was so destroyed.
Really?
And then he said there was a lot of arthritis or wear and tear on the where the bones meet. So he cleaned that up as best as he could, took out some other cartilage that was floating around, but she's recovering very well. She's up and about already, not walking 100%, obviously, but doing well. So
with a cane or something, or no, just walking on her own?
No, just walking around. They said,
really?
You can put as much weight on it as tolerable. And so, I mean, even the first day we came home and she was lightly walking on it, but it has to be elevated and stuff like that. But she's doing great.
That's amazing if that happened years ago, she'd been out for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So I would think by tomorrow or Tuesday, she'll probably be real mobile. I mean, she's up and around right now, but
that's great.
Still limping a little bit. Yeah, it's amazing. I think 3 little holes around the knee, and she's good to go.
Where'd she have it done at?
Right here in Tomah.
Really?
It's a beautiful hospital. I mean,
Was it really?
And the staff out there is so professional and kind and nice and articulate.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hospital. So that was probably the major thing for this week. Otherwise, not a whole lot. It's been kind of quiet. Snow last night, 15 degrees today, so pretty cool.
Really? Huh.
How about you?
I had a hectic week. On Tuesday night, Penny and I drove to Greenwood, Indiana, about an hour and 15 minutes away to my old Standard Grocery, who I used to work for when I started working when I was 16 years old. We still have a Christmas party and a picnic every year. And it's kind of great to get together with those people. And we were talking probably 15 years ago when we had our Christmas party, there was 325 people there. There was 32 Tuesday, and a lot of people's moved. The majority of them have passed away, unfortunately. And I mean, we're all probably the average age 75. I mean, there was a lady there was 92, and it was just, but it's good to see those people. And I'm going to shout some people's names out. Hopefully they're listening to this, and I told them I'd shout their name out. But when I was working in Noblesville at Standard Grocery, I think I was 16, 17, and we got a new store manager. His name was Steve Knott, and he's still there at the Christmas party, and we were talking. I've known him for over 50 years, and he was a mentor to me. He was a store manager at 21, and I wanted to be that. So, and then a gentleman by the name of Bob Williams, no relation, but Bob's been a good friend for a long time, and Bill Marion, who has kind of spearheaded this whole thing. But Penny and I had a good time. We eat at 4:00 in the afternoon because all the old people have to get home before dark. So on the way, we got home at 7:15, and Penny says, "Is it only 7:15?" I said, "Well, we ate at 4, so."
Yeah.
And then Thursday, I drove to Southern Indiana, about 2 hours and 45 minutes away to Jasper, Indiana. And 42 years ago, with a local grocery chain there, I started a Christmas party, and it's still going very well. And I hadn't been for a couple of years, so they invited me this year. And so I went down, and it was a lot of fun. There was probably 40 there, maybe 35, 40 people there. And Again, I got a good friend. We call her one of the girlfriends, but I nicknamed her Badonkadonk. Trace Atkins years ago had a song called Badonkadonk, and we were in Nashville at a food show at one of the clubs there, and they were playing that song, and she got up and danced. And so from that day on, I called her that. But her and Deb Altadonna, Lena Poole, Kathy and Ed Thunhorst, and Sharon Carter, who wasn't there but have been good friends for a long time. But years ago, in fact, I think it was probably close to 20 years ago, I wrote a poem about this. It's very apropos about family and friends, but I'll read it. It's called The Girlfriends. And I said, Webster defines the word friend as a person you know well and regard with affection and trust. As we found out, to be a girlfriend, you really don't need a bust. The girlfriend gang in southern Indiana has established quite a reputation along the way. It takes a little while to be involved in this elusive group, but you're in as long as you do as they say. The close-knit gang have worked hard together to produce a bakery deli as good as any out there. Just do your job, work hard, be ready to play hard, and stay out of their hair. It's not really an honor, but a tremendous privilege to be a part of this group. You may think you are, but you are not always in the loop. Just as any group, gang, or friends, they can get under each other's skin, but they air their differences and they are girlfriends once again. It's amazing to watch as they can have their cat fights, complain, and even call each other a bitch. At the same time, they would be the first to help you out of the ditch. They have such a unity and have formed a bond of trust and affection. They work awful hard, but boy, do they like to have fun. Yes, this group began as girlfriends many, many years ago and have grown throughout the years. When one has an accident, an issue, or God forbid a tragedy, they all are in tears. As the years pass along and we grow older and wiser and can't do the things we used to do, but they still expect the job to get done, to suck it up, be upfront and honest, and do what you can do. The goal is be successful, particularly in the stores, but also in your daily life. They will always have your back and be there for you through any strife. Yes, this gang in southern Indiana have made quite a name for themselves along the way, but they will be your friend through thick and thin and definitely throughout the fray. Yes, this group includes the inner circle of employees and a few brokers that have been asked to join along the way. Very few manufacturers have been accepted to join, but if you are, be proud and know how to play. The holiday brings a lot of cheer and gets you to thinking about family and friends and what really means the most. I know I'm thankful for much in my life, and one of them is the girlfriends, and I salute them with a toast. Continue your kinship, be true to each other, and regard to each other with trust and affection forever and ever. They cannot they can take a lot away from you, of which one of them is not your friendship. Never, never. So I wrote that for them, and it's to this day we're still really good friends, and it's but it started out as a bunch of girls and well, women, not girls, shouldn't say women, and they allowed men to come in slowly. But I think at the end there was only like maybe 6 of us men that were part of the group, so it was kind of an elusive group that. So I'm proud to be a girlfriend, Mike.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, getting back to your Christmas parties, I sure miss the parties you used to throw up in Kendall and the chocolate fondue
We haven't
story.
done that since we left up there. We never did one in Florida, and we just never. We tried to do it in Rushville when we bid, and we thought about doing it here, but it's not the same. Those were really good. We had a good time. Those were good parties.
Yep. Well, you know what today? Well, I got a question for you first. I got a couple of pictures from the grandkids yesterday, and I'm not quite sure how this happens, but our grandson over in Germany was next to Santa Claus yesterday. And then a couple of hours later, I guess he just moves quick. He was in Oshkosh with my other 2 grandkids. So it's just amazing how fast Santa Claus can get around.
It's unbelievable, man. Those reindeers they must be on warp speed. It's
It was pretty, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Hey, you know what today is? December 7th? The
Pearl Harbor
Japanese
Day.
Pearl
Yeah.
Harbor. And I just have a few quick stats. That day in 1941, 2,403 Americans were killed. 68 were civilians. And on the USS Arizona, 77 sailors and Marines perished just on that ship alone. So we've been out to the
Unbelievable.
memorial a few times,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing. And to see the oil still come up from the ship
Unbelievable, yeah.
is just surreal.
It's kinda eerie. The only thing that really upset me while we were there, all these Japanese taking pictures. Just, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, but I guess they had people die there too, so I mean, but still, it was just kinda eerie to see that.
And you know whose birthday's today? Somebody from went to Indiana State.
Larry Bird.
He's 69 years old today.
69. That sucker's getting. I bet he could still shoot the. I bet he could still shoot the three.
Bet you he can. And the last thing in 1972, which I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but Apollo 17 launched the final mission of the Apollo moon landing programs.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. Hey, I was down by Larry Bird's hometown. I was only about 10 miles away from his hometown.
And what's his
Uh,
hometown?
French Lick, Indiana.
Schlick.
Yeah, he went to Springs Valley High School. Went to IU for a semester, hated it. He didn't like the big time, and then transferred to Indiana State, and the rest is history. I mean, it's
Yeah,
what happens.
quite a ball
Amazing.
player.
Yeah,
Quite a
very good.
player.
Probably one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. Good, clean player, good shooter.
Well, did you watch any football yesterday?
I did. We watched definitely the game last night. My phone keeps dinging. Watched the game last night, and like you said earlier, it's going to be interesting to see what the polls. I read one today that has Alabama at 9 and another one at 16, or 10 and 16. So we'll see what happens with Alabama. One had Vanderbilt.
If Alabama gets in with 3 losses, it's a travesty. I mean, seriously.
It is.
I looked up this morning. I just wanted to make sure what the parameters for the college football playoff is. And the parameters is that the top 5 conference champs get in, and then the other 7 top-rated ones. So that says that Duke gets in, but Duke is 5 losses.
Yeah.
And if I was a committee, I wouldn't put them in, and because they should have never been in the conference championship game. It should have been Miami. Miami's the best team in that conference without question. But my 10 cents worth is I think that Duke does not get in, but Tulane and James Madison both get in, and Notre Dame and Miami both get in. That means Alabama, BYU doesn't get in. If they put and here's the deal. Alabama's crying today that the conference championship don't mean anything. But let me tell you, if they'd won the game, then they would have said the conference championships mean everything, right?
Yep.
So they only want to do what, and I'll tell you what, if they let them in with 3 losses, it's there's something wrong. There's something big time
Tommy,
wrong.
I will guarantee they get in, which they shouldn't. You know, the how they lost yesterday too should say something.
Yeah,
It wasn't a close
without
game
question.
at all.
No, it wasn't a close game.
But just like when I think it was Saban went on there and cried about the injuries he had early on in the season, this was a few years ago.
I know,
and
yeah.
how Alabama should be in, and it's just crazy. But I'll guarantee they get in.
If
And they
you looked
shouldn't.
at the way they
I hope
played
they
against
don't.
Auburn, their offense, and the way they played yesterday, there's no way they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. There's no way. Now, are they better in James Madison and Tulane? Maybe, maybe. But and if they put Duke in and don't put Miami in, oh my God, what a trap. I don't know if they'll ever get a right number. I think the right number is 16. I think they'll go to 16 eventually, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But then if you listen to the
Yeah.
committee last week, they're talking about why Alabama jumped Notre Dame. Well, it was a 4th and 2 play at the Auburn game and how they had the resiliency to come back. Who gives a crap? Seriously.
And you wonder how much money is being
It's
put under the
ridiculous.
table.
Oh, it's a lot. The SEC, the SEC is going to get Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Georgia. And if they get Alabama, that'll be 4, right? And the Big Ten has what? Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. So that's 3. I don't know. It's well, actually, no. The SEC will have 5 because they got Ole Miss too. Yeah, they got Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Georgia, and if Alabama gets in, it'll be 5. That'll be crazy. I think it's eventually going to be the Big Ten, SEC, and that'll be it. And let everybody else watch. I guess I don't know. But I
There
know
will
if
be
Miami doesn't get
controversy
in,
either way.
oh, it's going to be and it would not shock me that Alabama gets in. I hope they don't, but it would not shock me whatsoever that they get in. It's crazy, but we'll see. We'll see in about an hour when we get off here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I'm still rooting for Indiana. I was surprised. I didn't think they would beat Ohio State, but boy, their defense is solid. And
I'll tell
they
you
did
what, I
just
see
enough
them in
to
Texas
win.
Tech maybe. I see them or Texas Tech winning it all. Texas Tech's defense is incredible. So I don't know if you saw any of that game or replays of that game, but they're awesome.
And I could not believe that Ohio State missed that 27-yard field goal. That kicker
Oh,
was
me neither.
like 88, 89%
I
for the
know.
year. Crazy.
I thought, sure. When that happened, I told Pina, I said, Indiana's going to win. I mean, it's just destined.
Yeah.
They're going to win. It just happens to. Well, real quick, NFL, Packers and Bears today. Who thought that the Bears would be playing for the division tie or division lead here against this late in the season? But we'll see what happens. I see Reed's
Yeah.
coming back for this game. Packers should be
Yeah,
at
and
full
I
field
think
anyway.
yeah, and I think Golden's back and Jacobs is good to go, so we should
If it's
have our studs
15 up
there.
there, that means well, the Bears are used to the cold too, though. But
Yeah.
it should be a rocking Lambeau Field today.
It would be a fun place to be. I'm glad I'm here sitting in my chair,
Yeah,
running my
and be
bathroom and
able to,
refrigerator,
yeah,
but it'd be fun up there too.
yeah,
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, be a good one, game of the week, so we'll see what
yeah.
happens.
Of course, you got Brady on the telecast, which is the bad thing about it. But I guess it's better than Aikman and Buck.
Maybe if we get big enough, they'll hire us to do it.
Oh, who knows? You never know. Hey, Mike, Colonel and I talked during the week. We're going to start a new segment here on the pod. I don't know if we'll do it every week. We got a lot of segments now that we kind of interact in and out, but we're going to start what we call the Colonel's Conspiracies, and we're going to talk a little bit about some conspiracy theories. And Mike's what's our first one today?
We're going to talk about the moon landing in '69. Oh, now when I bring this up to those listening, it's not that I 100% believe what I'm saying or the conspiracy theory, but I was on a different podcast a couple of months ago, and like the gentleman said, just for people, instead of having their feet so ingrained and embedded in cement and not willing to change their thought process, to talk about these conspiracy theories is just to get people thinking, and maybe do a little bit of research. I don't know if we'll ever know the truth, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Some of my thoughts on the whole moon landing, obviously 1969, I have read and heard that the amount of technology in that spacecraft, that lunar module or whatever it was called, is about the same amount that's in the current microwave that we use today. So
I read
that's
where
one
it's
thing.
1/1,000,000th of the technology of today's iPhone.
Yep. Yep.
So
Exactly.
just think about that. Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, the pictures, I did some digging myself. There was the picture of Buzz Aldrin coming off the lunar and the first step onto the moon. Well, who took that? Well, apparently there was a modular, it was called the Modular Equipment Stowage Assembly, which flipped out when he came out the door. Again, who knows? The flag waving, of course, the
No atmospheric
people are
pressure.
wondering, no pressure, but they say it was the astronauts carrying the flag. The shadows coming from different angles. How did that happen? No stars in the sky. Why weren't there any stars? And what I've read there too is that when they were taking the pictures, it just didn't capture, the stars were so light, it just didn't capture the radiation from the Van Allen belts. They say would kill anyone that went through those. And I don't know enough about them.
Yeah, I don't
Obviously,
either.
they have to go through them. And, we haven't gone back to the moon. And I've read it where they say it's too expensive. Well, when has anything ever been too expensive? My personal theory, I don't think we went. I don't know how the president would have been able to pick up a landline and talk to the astronauts when I can't even use my cell phone to call out of Kendall over to Clifton. But anyway, and I know that's different wavelengths, wave bands, or whatever. But there's a theory out there about Stanley Kubrick, and I don't know if you've heard this, Tom, but, there's a whole conspiracy about the moon landing being filmed at a Hollywood studio or Area 51 or whatever. But when Stanley Kubrick filmed the movie Eyes Wide Shut, have you seen that? Very, very strange movie. But he had a certain lens to film that movie, or lenses to film that movie, that only NASA had at the time. So the conspiracy is that Kubrick was the one that filmed the moon landing, in a studio. And then NASA gave him those lenses, and he used them in Eyes Wide Shut. So
I'm not
it's
good with
strange.
history at all, and I don't remember what I did yesterday, but what was going on in the world at that time? I would have been a senior in high school, but maybe that was used to cover up.
Chappaquiddick had just happened with
True.
Kennedy. And so the newsmaker that covered up that whole issue was the moon landing. And of course, we were in a space race with the Soviets at the time. Whatever reason we would want to say, hey, we were the first ones there, who knows? But if you look up Chappaquiddick, I don't have the dates in front of me, but it was right around that time frame. So that was pushed
And if
aside.
we went, why didn't the Russians go? I mean, they couldn't have been that far behind us in technology at that time, I wouldn't think. I don't know. I've read all those conspiracy theories, and you're right. It's just to make you think. But man, there's a lot of reasons why you would say, hey, it's not true. I mean,
and, has the government ever lied to us? I can't
I don't
remember
think
any time.
so. I don't know. I don't know when they might have.
But I just wanted to throw that out there. And maybe, we can get some people to comment or chime in, or if we got somebody that is adamant that they did land on the moon, we could have them on and maybe have
Yeah,
some sort
just
of a
tell their story,
conversation.
their side of the story. I don't know. Yeah,
Yep.
it's and we'll do different ones. I mean, if you look up conspiracies on the computer, I mean, there's hundreds of them. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I mean, you can go into conspiracies of the NFL is fixed, and all these, and people give all kinds of reasons why it is, and why is the college football playoffs fixed? I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories. So
Yeah. We'll dig into one each week.
yeah,
So
that'll be fun.
just throw it out there.
And you'd mentioned that politics wise, this Champ VA. What were you going to say about that? I didn't even know what
Yeah.
that was till I looked it up. But
So CHAMP VA, it stands for it's the Civilian Health and Medical Program of the Department of Veterans Affairs. So quick story. I had enough sick leave when I retired from the state of Wisconsin that covered 5 years of health insurance for Jill and me. Unbelievably expensive, but that's another story. So in January of this year, that pot of money ran out. I used the VA, but I needed healthcare coverage for Jill. So we applied for CHAMP VA, this insurance, because she was eligible, back on October 7th, knowing that I would be eligible and she would be along with me for TRICARE on June 20th, my birthday this year. So we needed about a 6-month span of healthcare coverage for Jill. I applied on October 7th. About March, traveling to Alabama, had been told that we should be expecting the pharmacy card and blah, blah, blah in the mail. But I called to check with Champ VA because I hadn't heard anything in a while. And they told me Jill was not eligible for Champ VA because she was in the military. And I'm like, she has never put on a uniform in her life. And they've got a third party that reviews the application. Somebody had screwed it up. To make a long story short, she was approved for Champ VA on June 19th of this year. The next day we went on TRICARE. But it goes back to where if something would have happened, she would have been covered. And we were also told from March of 2021 until June of this year, anything we paid out of pocket would be reimbursed because Jill could have been on Champ VA. So I sent that in on June 29th, the reimbursement, and it's only like $1,200. It's not much. I called on Thursday to find out because I know they're way behind on their paperwork, Champ VA is. Sent the paperwork on June 29th to Denver, which is the address on the website. Call out there just to get an update, and I can hear the girl clicking around, and she's like, I can't find anything, which I expected. That's the way the government is all the time, especially with anything health related. And she asked me what address I used. I rattled off the Denver, Colorado address, and she goes, oh, the VA hasn't updated that address. That's the wrong address. You have to send it out to Pennsylvania. And it's just like, so 6 months, this paperwork's sitting somewhere. I don't know where. She has no clue where it's sitting. And, again, it's only $1,200. But my point is, these government websites that I use and many people use, especially veterans, are so jacked up. You can see why when you talk to a veteran and they say, I don't use the VA, which I've had good luck with the VA, but a lot of people don't use the VA or they don't submit for things they're entitled to, or they don't, whatever the thing may be. And you can see why. These websites and many of the people working at these places are so jacked up and incompetent. It's just unbelievably frustrating. So not only did they screw up Jill's Champ VA eligibility from October till June, but when I went in for reimbursement for this $1,200, again, not much, send it to Denver, says it right on the website. And I even told the girl, I said, I am not IT literate at all, but I could change that address in minutes. Why doesn't the government do that? She had no answer for that.
Because it has to go through 15 people to get it changed. Yeah. That's why
and it would probably cost $1 million just to update that address.
Probably.
So that's our Champ VA story.
It's interesting because when I looked it up, I told Penny, because Penny does all of her insurance. So she's been looking into maybe changing my Medicare coverage a little bit. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So I went on Champ VA and I told her, I said, we might be with my dad. I said, I might be able to be available for Champ VA. And she said, I don't think so. And I said, it wouldn't be hurt to look into it, but no. Now that you're I mean, it'd take forever. But another story besides that, she's looking into my Medicare insurance. So she talks to a lady at Medicare, and she just wanted to find the cheapest cost. The add-on that we use for Medicare, the supplemental, just keeps going up and up in price. And it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. So this lady told her that the state of Indiana passed a law that come your birthday of next year, my birthday next year, I'll be 75, but I don't think it has anything to do with your age, just your birthday, as long as you're on Medicare. But they cannot look back to your previous uh, healthcare. They can't look back to. She told me right now I wouldn't apply. I couldn't apply because of all the medicines and diabetes and all that I have. But she said your next birthday they can't look back at all that stuff, so you can get whatever you want because they are not allowed legally to look back at your past medical history. So I mean that's a new law. I bet there's so many laws out there statewide, government wise that we don't even know about. I mean, we
Nope.
probably could be getting $1 million from the government. We don't even know about it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look into all the programs, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just crazy. It's yeah, I don't know how people, you know, older that really depend have to have the money. I don't know how they do it. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, and we have mutual friends up here. You know them, Tommy. I'm not going to say their names, but their mother and the father is in assisted living, paying anywhere from 5 to 8,000 a month. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts. I mean, yeah. And assisted living will take everything you have. If you don't have the money, they would take your social security, your house, everything that you own. I mean,
And Jill and I did a trust last year, and I want to go through the trust again because I don't even trust the trust. You know, there's probably a way that they can dig into that and take
yeah,
everything.
that's
So,
true. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
That's why I said I never want to go to assisted living because I don't want, I mean, everything's in mine and Penny's. If something happens to her, it's in mine. If something happens to me, it's in hers. But if we went in and we didn't have the money to pay for it, I mean, they would take all my social security. They would take our house if I was on, my name was on the house. I mean, they would
Yeah,
use that as payment. I mean, because
yeah,
a lot of these
yeah.
are, you're right, between five and $10,000 a month, which is
And Tommy,
crazy.
you probably wouldn't go to a nicer assisted living. You'd go to where a place like where I have relatives at that are, you know, it's basically
Well,
a
yeah,
bed
but
and
you
a
don't want to
bathroom.
go. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So
Nope, she's taking this office right here, and she's gonna put a hospital bed right there on the wall and have a nurse come in. That's what's gonna happen to
yeah.
me, so
I want to
and it
go like my grandfather. My grandfather went out, dug in his garden, came in, took a nap. He was 82, took a nap, and never woke up. Perfect way to go.
yeah, it is first way to go. I'd like to be older than 82, but, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I'll be happy if I make 82,
well,
but I'm with you.
when you're 74, though, you wanna go further than 82,
Yeah,
so
yeah, 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 yeah. It's crazy. One other political thing I wanted to talk about. I was up at Fort McCoy working out, and I was on the treadmill, and they've got, I don't know, a dozen TVs on the wall, and so I was able to read the closed captions, and it was Trump was in a meeting with his administration, and the Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was sitting next to him, and the reporters were asking questions about these drug boats they've been blowing up, and I don't want to get into that, but it just blew my mind that those two and others have to sit up there and defend blowing up these boats that are filled with drugs coming into the U.S. It just amazed me how, if it was Biden doing it, he would be given the Pulitzer and Nobel Peace Prize. But because it's Trump, they would rather have these drugs in the U.S. than have us take them out. And the other thing, too, I think, you know, they're trying to get across to the average person that watches the news that we're just taking out these boats, which is what the people out there don't understand is we've probably have CIA and or special operations forces on the ground identifying these boats 100%. They're not just seeing a boat race across the open water and we're taking them out. I guarantee we have people on the ground that are identifying the people and what's in the boat, and then that gets sent higher and the boat is taken out. You know, it's not
and if
just a
you're against
willy-nilly.
that, just read about what's going on in Venezuela right now. I mean, it's
Yeah,
amazing what kind of country
they
that is.
they were the third wealthiest country in the world just
Yeah,
you know, I don't know how many years ago, and now they are one of the poorest.
right, right.
Yeah, it's just crazy that people will defend, you know, us taking out these drug runners. We lose 200 to 300,000 people a year to these types of drugs, fentanyl and
I was
whatever
gonna
else.
say, let, one of those people that don't wanna defend that, lose a daughter or son to addiction and see what happens.
Well, and they're just doing it because it's President Trump,
Oh,
you know.
without question, it doesn't matter what, yeah, it's,
It
the
just caught me.
politics, man. Sometimes that's why I don't even pay attention to it, but once in a while, something will
Yeah,
pop up and you gotta pay attention to it and you do a little research. It's kinda, you know, and some of these questions they ask his, this press secretary is just unbel of course, I'll tell you what, she stands her ground.
yeah,
But some of the
she
questions you
does.
go, Where in the hell do they come up with this stuff?
Yeah. And then, we didn't have this on our agenda, but all the fraud that they're finding out in Minnesota and Minneapolis but
Unbelievable. That guy was
now they
something
say
else.
it could be upwards around 8 billion.
Unbelievable.
And, you see the mayor of Minneapolis eating the Somalian dish and trying to get it down and all this stuff. And they're dancing and talking in whatever language they speak. Guaranteed the only reason they're doing this is they're lining their pockets. Out of that 8 billion, besides going into their
Yeah.
coffers, they're putting it in
Yeah.
their pockets too.
Yeah. I mean, all the time he spent in China would be, during the when he was running for, vice president, you knew something was going on. I mean,
Very interesting. So we'll see what happens there. What else you got, Tommy? Did you want to go through over our healthy prelude?
yeah, I needed some Old Charlie, so Penny ordered me a whole new container of Old Charlie, and of course it took a little while to get, but we got it. And in the container, Anna sent me 3 additional products and put a note in there thanking us for our support. So we got our first payday for advertising on our web podcast. But anyway, I took one of those and it's kind of fun. But this is an item I went on and checked it up. It's called Pucker Up. It's a lip balm and it's called Pucker Up Menthol. This is menthol. And she says its name says it all. It's all organic cocoa butter, castor and jojoba oils, and beeswax. And it's essential oils of peppermint, vanilla, and or chocolate natural flavors. And of course, this time of year in the wintertime, your lips get dry, and supposedly this is a great product for that. It comes in this a half-ounce tube. And go on to healthyprelude.com and you can order that, as well as a couple of these other little things that she sent me. I won't go into them, but just little containers here that she sent. But she's got all kinds of stuff on there. Just go on there. Again, I'm going to get it right. Ishschnitzthebomb.com.
It's
So
the shits.
See, I did again. You know why I do that? Because in Jasper, Indiana, there's a restaurant called the Schnitzelbank, and we call it the Schnitz. And I was there again this week. And this shit's the bomb.com. So I got it right this time. Mike's going to have it on here one of these days that we can put it up here and take a look at it. But she's got great products. She's a great lady, and the products work. Without question, they work. So hopefully you'll hear this and get on there and order some product. Holidays coming up. They're good stocking stuffers. So put them in the stockings.
We'll have to ask her if any orders, somehow we should do it so if people order, if they mention us, maybe they get a percent. We'll have to figure that out.
I'm sure she would do that without question.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she would.
And
we probably could do that. We could do that as we go. Yeah, I'm sure she would do it.
Yeah. And I've learned how to put her logo up. I just have to be able to edit the logo so I can put the website on. That's my goal for today, is to figure that stuff out. Drives me nuts.
So give us an update how we're doing.
Okay. Let me grab my phone, here it is.
And this is just Spotify, right?
Yeah, because I was in YouTube jail this week. So I'm
out now or? Okay.
I'm out now, and I'm going to upload, obviously, this podcast and last week's onto YouTube.
Do you have to get a bail bondman to get you out of YouTube jail, or?
I should. It was crazy. And, if people are just tuning in, the reason I was in Facebook jail is I uploaded a short, which is 60 seconds or less. Jill and I were in Berchtesgaden, and at our hotel, I went out on the balcony and I was doing a pan, and I panned up to the eagle's nest, which belonged to Adolf Hitler in World War II, and zoomed in on it. And I posted and I labeled it the eagle's nest. And then you put hashtags on there, which, do the algorithms. And so I put shorts, and of course, everybody's texting me now. I put shorts and World War II in Germany. And one of the hashtags I put on was Hitler. Well, immediately I got flagged, and I appealed it. Lost. They put me in jail for a week. And then today I'm looking on other social medias, and there's naked women showing private parts on the, I just don't get it. But anyway, I'm back on now. So
crazy.
Sam, quit calling me. So we have 51 followers. We went up.
Does that mean that they subscribe to that means they subscribe?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, you mentioned this last week. We need to get it out there, and I'll put it on social media too. When you subscribe, it costs nothing.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
keep
I
telling
just
people
want
that.
people. My goal is to get to 100 by Christmas. I don't think we'll make that, but I'm going to put it on social media that when you subscribe, it costs nothing. I think some people may be thinking that they have to pay. They do not have to pay.
So if they subscribe, does that just mean it pops up every week when you post it? Is that what it does to them, or what does subscribing mean?
If they subscribe, it means they belong to it, and then if they hit this little bell, then it will notify them when a new upload is
Okay.
ready for them. Yep,
So no cost to them, and that's on Spotify, right? Or is
that's
that
on
on
Spotify.
is that on YouTube? Anything that you subscribe to?
Well, it shows up different on YouTube, so
Okay.
I will also put my YouTube channel that I'm throwing this on there. On that site, I've got 426 followers on my YouTube channel. So I'm hoping some of them reach out and subscribe on Spotify also. But we have 51 followers. We've had 387 plays of our 5 to date podcasts. So that's not bad. And then I just want to look at the discovery. People
So
are
a play
finding
means
us.
they just pulled it up and looked at it.
No, they listen to it. If they just pulled it up, if it showed up on somebody's feed, we've had 1,085 impressions. And an impression is the number of times our content was displayed on someone's screen on Spotify during that time range. So we've had over 1,000 impressions made.
So we
So I
had
think
371. What is it called? Not feels, but
387 listened to our first 5 podcasts.
and none of them wrecked.
None
None of them
were.
had a wreck while they were listening,
That's
so they didn't
right.
fall asleep.
Yeah, but 1,085 impressions. I think that's awesome. And then our audience right now is 70% male and 23% female. The rest didn't identify what they were or are. And our main listeners, 60 plus is about 35%, and then 28 to 34-year-olds about 28%, and then spattering throughout. So not too bad.
If you
It's gonna
listen
take
to
some time.
this, we would only ask if you listen to this, please share it with your friends, your family, whoever. I'm getting ready to do my annual Christmas letter, and I'm certainly going to put it in there. And that goes to about, I don't know, 175 people, I think, every year. So, I mean, and if you get that, please just share it with people. And again, I think I told you, I said something last week, but my group at breakfast on Wednesday, it's all 7 guys, old guys, and we just ridicule everybody that's there. And so my one cousin said, I listen to your podcast, it's just like 2 old guys sitting around talking. And I said, exactly. That's what we want it to be. And then the lady at the Christmas party in Jasper, she said, I listen to your podcast. And she said, it was just like you were in my living room across from the table talking to me.
Perfect.
I said, that's what we're after. That's exactly what we're after.
Now,
We're not.
You had
Go ahead.
somebody too that wanted us to talk a little bit more about sex. We probably should discuss that at some point and see what we want to talk about.
Yeah, we will do that without question. It's just that when we're together, not on here, it gets pretty raunchy, and we don't want to go there on this podcast because we want everyone to listen to this, and we're afraid that we might turn some people off. So we're not going to get down and dirty, but we will do some innuendos that if you want to use your imagination, it can go wherever it wants to go. So we will. And maybe we include a sex joke of the week or something, maybe try to keep it clean or something, But we were talking real quick about that. We were talking and I won't mention any names, but I heard Penny and Rachel I was taking a nap and they were cackling woke me up, cackling in the family room. So I came out, and after Rachel left, she had left before I got up. Penny was telling me that they were talking about someone that we know very well got a divorce and that she's been dating, but she does not believe in taking care of herself down there. So it's gotten pretty mangled. In other words, the lawnmower hadn't been working. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. And she said that this lady was telling Rachel that the reaction the guy had to it, she said it was just unbelievable. And I told Penny, I said, so no landing strip or hardwood floors down there, huh? And she said, no, I don't think so. But that was funny. It was funny. And I thought I ought to say something about that on the podcast. But no, we will talk a little bit more. And a lot of them got excited about your spa stories because, man, they thought maybe we were going to really delve into that. And it's, it's not,
well, that makes me think, I can definitely share some of the stories from, not to get off track here, but when we were going before September, Jill was adamant, there's no way I'm going. And now she's going to places where you're completely nude, which blows my mind. But if people are interested, I can share more of what I observed and, some
That's
of the
like
health.
Penny. I told Penny about Jill, and she said, "There's no way. There's no way I
Yeah.
would do that." I said, "That's what Jill's been saying for a long time."
Yep.
I said, "There's one other thing Jill's been saying no for many, many years. Maybe Mike will get that done."
No, I'll guarantee if you guys went over, obviously, I don't think I could go over with friends and obviously not family. But
Yeah, yeah.
if you were
Well, it's
there
just
with
different.
Penny,
Yeah.
if you were there by yourselves, I'll guarantee within 15 minutes, it's not a big deal, but it is very unique and very interesting.
Well, it's
So
just that's their culture. That's just the way it is
yeah,
over there. It's just
yeah,
it's completely I mean, it's no different than they go to the grocery store every day. We don't. We go once a week or twice
right.
a week. It's just
Yep.
their culture that the human body is something that they don't even really, we look at people and laugh and comment about it and all that stuff, and they could care less. It's just,
No,
you know.
no. As a matter of fact, when we go back over in February, we're going for a month and do some touring around Normandy and some other sites. Jill said she'd go back again once we're in Stuttgart. So
Speaking of that long too, there's another thing we want to do, and we can't do all this. And I mean, we might get to an hour eventually one of these days here, and we might be able to get all this stuff on at a certain time. But Mike has traveled the world. I mean, Europe extensively, and I've been a lot of places. We've only been to Europe a couple times, but I've been in every state in the country. And we want to take a segment maybe once a week and talk about somewhere that maybe you've never been, our listeners, and we want to talk about maybe what's there and take 5 minutes just to talk about the beauty of there and some sites there and things like that that you can make a note of and put down. And if you ever get out there, that you definitely want to see that. It's I watch a show on Sunday mornings. It's called Aerial America. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not. It's a
I have.
Smithsonian, and it's terrific. They fly around. Today they were in Vermont and talking about the Green Mountain Men and all. I mean, it's fascinating, the history that
Yeah.
you learn by watching that, and it's just amazing. I love that show. But a lot of places that they bring up on there that we've been to and had the opportunity to see. So we'll do that too. But we want
And
to
I
get your
think, Tommy,
comments. Anything you want to hear or want us to talk about. We're not experts by no means, probably in anything, but we certainly will talk about it. So,
yeah. And I think, Tommy, if we talk about places we've traveled, like you could send me pictures. I think I am to the point
okay.
where I could embed those pictures or
Well,
even video.
you got the interview that I got with Doug
Yeah.
up there. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I just
Yep.
had his head chopped off, but other than that, it was okay. But yeah, if we start, I think we ought to maybe start looking into doing that. I don't think we both could do it, but maybe you do it one week, I'll do it another week and something just so we
Yeah.
can. All right. Sounds great.
Okay, Tommy. You have a wonderful week
You too.
and stay safe,
I'm
stay
going to go
warm.
watch the college football playoffs and pray that Alabama don't get in.
Yeah. No kidding.
All right,
All
buddy.
right.
Take care. Have a good week. Tell
Yep.
Jill, take care of
Love you.
herself. Love you.
Will do.
All right.
Tell Penny
See you.
hello. Yep. Bye bye.
Bye.